The first time you ever find an object, you find a nail, you find a piece of ceramic or something like that, it is a thrilling experience. You get like that adrenaline rush. When you start seeing the pieces coming together and creating a story about the past, you feel like connected to the past.
So a typical morning here at Frosttown for us starts out with us waking up around 6:30 or 7 o'clock, and around 8 o'clock we're getting picked up and carpooling out. Once we get to the nature center, we kind of unpack the car and repack it with any supplies or gear that we'll need for the day. And then we head out from the nature center on our 1 mile hike as a group out to our site, which we're on right now.
What I'm hoping to find is more ceramic materials, more daily life materials that show us where people were living, working, to understand the area in and around the site. So how was it used? And it gives us a really good vantage point into how the people lived. This is probably like a little figurine or a child's toy or something like that. Like a doll or something like that. This is super cool. Yeah.
We're finding a lot of interesting things, a lot of nails. A couple nails that have some wood on them, which is really neat. Some sort of indication of like a floorboard or some sort of walls maybe.
A nail seems insignificant, but it can give us an insight to a person that we have almost no other information on too, about like how it was used and probably where it came from within the house, so give the house some context. But it can be a really good marker for understanding where the house fell down and where these objects are within the house.
That is what we think is a spring, maybe like a bed spring, we were saying. The biggest takeaway so far is just like the team aspect of it. It's a group of people working all together on this site, and you might have like a trench that you work on. Like I've been on this one for 3 days now. Like literally we are hands in the dirt for 6-7 hours every day, like finding and like getting to know these objects that we're pulling out. But it's still like a big part of a bigger picture of this overall story of the site and what was going on here.
A lot of the challenges that students face, some of it comes down to stamina in terms of like mental stamina, but it's mentally very difficult to be in an archaeological site and being in such close quarters for so many days in a row.
So right now we're walking over to the sifting station, and we're gonna dump this bucket of dirt into the sifter and see what we find. But really all it is it's just a good shake. All right, and then it's a lot of clumpy dirt, but like I might go through and pull out some just lumps of dirt and rock. But then there's a nail. It's a different kind of nail.
Right now I'm doing thermal imagery. There's a camera on here that detects like infrared heat. We're using it to try and detect archaeological features in the ground. So it penetrates the soil, and the stone, for instance, will be hotter than the surrounding soil or colder depending on the conditions. And so in the thermal imagery we can potentially detect buried walls up to 1 meter beneath the ground without digging.
There are a lot of misconceptions about archaeology. Conceptions include that we are looking for treasure. Treasure hunters, they're really in it for the financial aspects of it, and archaeologists are in it for the information.
It's a hammer.
Is it a hammer? That's where the wood would have come up into there. That's awesome.
There's more of that metal that just blends right in. It just literally looks like a blob. But it's all stuff. And then this will get sorted back into the bags. Metal, glass, and I think brick was about all we pulled out of that one.
We'll often stay on site, sometimes till 1 or 2 p.m., but we'll go back to the lab at the Cumming Nature Center.
We do have a couple pretty interesting finds. This one is a couple pieces here, but this is some sort of saucer or plate. And this also has a stamp on it, which stamps are extremely datable. We have some pretty big pieces of iron farm equipment, even some piece of a saw blade, which would fit in well with our region being a logging region.
The thing that I hope people kind of get from archaeology is how powerful it is to connect to the past and how important it can be to kind of tell stories about people in history who don't have stories to tell. It's like archaeology connects people in that capacity, and it creates this like really fascinating interest and compassion and empathy for people as well.